Welcome back. We just got back from South Carolina down at the Gathering 2024. Now, the Gathering is an event put together by PSA, and they invite a bunch of gear companies. They invite Pews, knives, medical, steel targets, you name it, and it's actually a public event. So we got invited down as media per se, but they don't really treat you any different. In fact, every bay they have set up with, dozens of companies. They have a vendor tent. They have a bunch of bays set up for testing different products out. All the companies really let you do like 5 rounds and then rotate out, because there's a lot of people who are excited about some of the newest and greatest on the market. And this event actually is pretty cool because it is public, so it allows you to get first hands on some of the newest stuff from these companies where normally you might see them in a gun shop and not get a chance to shoot them. Well, now you can actually go and shoot them. So I've been about 3 times now the last 3 years. Usually it's in March. Pretty rainy. In fact, Friday and Saturday are the 2 big days, and they have like a mile shoot you can do as well. You can sign up early for, but we went Friday. Ended up raining like the second half of the day, just downpouring all through the night. And then we ended up not even going on Saturday because Friday is really the less busy of the day. Obviously, you can imagine Saturday being pretty busy. So we had a good time, and I filmed a bunch of the top things that I saw at the different booths that I thought were really neat and I hadn't either shot before or I wanted to kind of get more feel for it and get my hands on again. Stop number 1 we made, we actually walked all the way to the end of the rows of booths, all the way to the end to PTR to kind of work our way back towards the entrance of this event. And I was with, let's see, Mr. Big Kid, Shooting Gallery, and Flying Rich. So we all went down there, and then we ended up like scattering as we went through. But first thing we did, we stopped at PTR. Now PTR had the Archon Type B Gen 2, which I had never shot before. PTR actually picked it up from another company that previously had been producing these over, I think, in Germany, and now brought them to, once they were done with the German stock, I believe they're gonna bring them to South Carolina. And they also had a suppressor out there that had like a porous end cap. Now the porous end cap is kind of cool because it's not really a full, blow through kind of cap like you've seen before. This was actually just like little holes throughout, and it's very porous, kind of rough sponge, really. It's like a metal sponge. And this is their 9mm suppressor, and it seemed to run pretty good. After having some fun with the Archon, I went over to the 9CT, which is their 9mm subgun, which is essentially like an MP5. It's one of their clones that also was suppressed with that new can.
9mm subgun spicy.
And of course, as an MP5 clone, it's a blast and they're super smooth, a lot of fun to shoot. Then I moved down the line and actually tried their A3SK. It's their 308 battle rifle, another clone. This one is just a blast, and 308 was so much fun on the range. Then I went over to CMC. Now CMC is known for their drop-in triggers. I have a few of them. They're a good budget option, easy to install. They have like anti-walk pins that kind of screw in and all that. They had their combat trigger. Now the combat trigger I already have, it's my favorite. It's not really flat, it's not really curved, it's kind of right in the middle, and I really like that hybrid feel to it. You kind of have flat up top, a little curve on the bottom, just kind of get that good feel for your finger there. Now this combat trigger is actually full giggle as well. So usually drop-ins don't allow that. This one has a full giggle and there's certain cuts and things like that they made to it. So if you end up in the market for that, you're into all that paperwork fun stuff, CMC, combat trigger, full giggle. Then CMC also had an AK drop-in. Now the AK drop-in was really cool because AK, you really have to get around some springs and pop out some pins, and it's not really a drop-in friendly design, but this one looked really cool. It was about this long, and it all had encased in there, including the springs and everything. I don't have one yet. I'm gonna reach out and get one because it shot great. Remind me a lot of an ALG. Then we move down to H&R. You know I love H&R, retro style of rifles. They have a lot of clone builds that they do, but they're very particular on the detail, and they're a good price for the value if you're looking into that kind of retro line of ARs. And they had an SMG 9mm 635 carbine, which took the stick mags, and it's weird because the actual mag well is just full of aluminum. It's not any kind of insert or any adapter. It is just a solid brick of aluminum insert in that stick mag. And that was a lot of fun and shot way smoother than I thought it would. And I may have to get one someday. 9mm. And this whole area was the PSA area, so of course they had DPMS as well, which has the Panther pistol, which I did a full video on over at SHOT Show talking about that. And it's a distributor-only option, kind of a clone of the PSA Dagger, but its own kind of vibe, right? It's a Panther pistol. It was suppressed at the range, has a really good feel to it, a better grip feel, and really nice slide features there compared to even the Dagger. And I really do want to get one of these in because that Panther pistol being a distributor only option means you'll find like PSA Dagger prices at Cabela's and Bass Pro and Academy and things like that. And of course, you can't walk by PSA without shooting the Jackal. It is one of my favorite newer designed rifles out there. This is the Jackal in 300 Blackout. I've had a 5.56 that I reviewed on the channel as well and cleaned and all that. Really cool design, a lot of really neat things to learn about it with that whole monolithic upper there. This 300 Blackout suppressed. I mean, you can't really beat a 300 Blackout suppressed. It's a blast. Then we go to another favorite that should be SBR'd across the board, PSA Crank in 5.56. This one had, I believe, like the plum wood furniture on there, and it was just gorgeous. And even that tiny little barrel, which is not really known for accuracy, I know a lot of people hit on that. It's not a 100-yard gun, but it's just so nice and it feels good in the hand, and the quality was there, and I definitely had fun shooting it. Of course, it was like 5 rounds, so you're like click, 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 and I want more. But maybe I'll get one in. Of course, suppressed, of course, with an AK though, even with that short barrel, you're not gonna see that gas directly in the face normally, but you'll see it kind of puffing around there, and this worked out fine, suppressed, so that could be a good suppressor hose, honestly. Walking down the line, went to Langdon Tactical. I've shot a bunch of their stuff. In fact, Langdon Tactical Beretta 1301 is kind of one of my dream guns because I mean, I know it's expensive, but they're so nice. And they didn't have one out there, but I've held one before, I've shot one before, and they're just so nice. 1301 is already a very nice semi-auto for that. But they had one of their Beretta 92 XI. So I have, you know, a bunch of experience with Beretta 92 FS and the Beretta PX4 Storm, which they make versions of both of those. But the XI has a single stage trigger or a single action trigger where you don't have that double action, and it is so smooth. It's like slapping a 1911 trigger into one of these Berettas. Then of course, right next to Langdon was Beretta itself, and they had brought a bunch of stuff out there. No long guns or shotguns or anything like that. They had those down in another skeet shooting range, but they did bring the PMX, which is a sub gun, little 9mm, which I've never shot before. It's a blowback. It's a little pricey, honestly, for a blowback, but people seem to like it, and honestly, it felt pretty good.
Yeah, runs.
Nice Italian sub gun there. Next up, I actually had done a full video on at SHOT Show 2024, and that is on the Rock Island Armory 5.0E. 5 rounds doesn't really do this justice, but it did shoot really smooth and nice and flat. It could be cool as long as it holds up. I know Rock Island Armory kind of is hit and miss for some of their products coming out. They're trying to work on a lot of the QC there, but this one at least shot the 5 rounds pretty well and seemed pretty good. over to Stoger, and Stoger had their newest thing, which was the SR9S Combat, which is their full-size combat design type handgun. Now, if you guys are interested in me reviewing that one, because it is a very nice price point, I already have one of their micro nines. You'll see here in a little bit that I'm gonna do a full review on shortly here that I'm kind of finishing up. But this one's kind of neat just because it has that combat vibe. A lot of people really like that. And that was by far, he said, like over 50% of the people who showed up in the booth wanted to shoot the combat. So if you're interested, drop a note down below in the comment. Maybe I'll try to get one on the channel, do a full review on it. Then you had Taurus. Now Taurus is with Rossi in the same kind of area. It was actually tucked way down in one of the booths there. And they had the Home Defender, which is this like crazy long revolver looking thing. Shoots 410 and 45 long Colt. It was kind of fun. It kind of reminded me like of a Shockwave, like shotgun or something where you had to hold the front out there, but it's a revolver. I don't know what the use is for this, but it was fun. Then going along with the 410 45 long Colt, Rossi of course had two guns there that were designed in a similar fashion. They had a survival rifle, which is a single shot with a very nice potent ejector. And it was actually a lot of fun. I could see that being kind of a neat little backpack gun. It also came apart, it's like a break apart, so you can throw it in a backpack and you have something that shoot 45 long Colt or 410 for hunting. And kind of neat, and Rossi, being Rossi, is probably a good price point. And then they had the shortened version of that, because the other one was actually a rifle, a survival rifle, 16-inch barrel. They had the Brawler, which is the handgun version of it essentially, and that was unique. You're one-handed? They had something called the Rio Bravo 22 long rifle, lever action from Rossi. And 22 is just a blast, and being in a lever gun, it had the two mags, you load them all on the top there, and just away you go. It's a lot of fun. Mechanically, it's a neat little gun. Then I had to stop by Dead Air because they make some of the coolest silencers out there, and they have a Sierra 5, which has had some QC issues in the past, was what I've heard, because they've been on back order for months and months, probably going on a year now. I've been wanting to get one, but after hearing the problems they were going through with that, I'm assuming they're kind of trying to fix those now. And of course, with the wait times for all that suppressor stuff now is just so short. I think it's like a few days, which is nuts because I used to wait like a year or more. I kind of really want one, but trying to find one is impossible, but it shoots really nice. Sierra 5 for dedicated 5.56. I really want one for Chemo. I have other suppressor mounting solutions, but I think Chemo being like the new standard might be good to kind of get into that Chemo game. And they had the Lazarus 6. So I compared them side to side, and the Lazarus 6 being a 6mm can, which has not been released yet, is super lightweight. I think it's a titanium design and it's super lightweight. However, you know, it's a little more money, but it's 6mm, can handle a lot more than your 5.56 cans. It's just a little bit louder than the dedicated 5.56 can, and I've always heard that you really want to get dedicated cans, but you can do with like a 30 cal can for a lot of it. Now, of course, 6mm cal for a lot of it as well.
Hasn't been released yet.
Then finally, last but not least, Canic. So I know the guys at Century Arms, I know the guys over at Canic. Canic is a great firearm company. They came out with the TTI, which is the Lon Tactical TTI Combat. And this thing was a splash at SHOT Show. A lot of people loved it. Really cool colors and features, and the design of course is circled around that Canic design. Looks a lot like a Meta or Mete, whatever, and then it looks a lot like maybe the old SFXs. I have an SFX, shoots great. No issues at all, and the price point is right, especially for a Lon Tactical design. So if you're into that, I shot a few rounds through it, and it is super nice for that price point. So that wraps up the rest of what we did that day over at the Gathering 2024. We went to the vendor tent, walked around a bit, messed with some knives and some suppressors, and went and visited GOA and talked to those guys and things like that. It was a great time. It always is a lot of fun, and you can really get all you need to do in a day. In fact, I didn't even hit up, I talked to some of the guys at Holosun. They had their night vision sights out there, but those things burn batteries like crazy, and they didn't even have any running at the time when I was playing around with them. I was just like looking at them, I was like, all right, this night vision thing's cool. I think a lot of people are waiting for the thermal rifle sight to come out from Holosun, but they had IWI, they had SIG out there, they had all these different companies out there, not only the ones that I shot at, but I really just wanted to kind of get a taster on as many as I could throughout the day until the rain came and washed us out, and we went over to get some food with a bunch of guys, which is a lot of fun. Hanging out with your friends that you see maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year. It's fun. I mean, it really is. It's a lot. It brings a lot of joy, right? So that's about it. If you have any questions at all about anything you saw today, if you have any questions about the Gathering, I've been there a few times now. I know a lot more than I did 3 years ago. So hit them down in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like. You know, trying to get more traction on a lot of these videos, and that stuff really, really helps out. Other than that, take care, and we'll see you in the next review.